And do you take any medication? I was watching a commercial yesterday about,
Yes.
that, having books, having a pet, having all the
Yeah.
problems that allergic people have. Do you have
Yes,
to
it's
take
awful.
medication or?
Yes, I take those. I mean, medicines like they are. You can get them in the pharmacy. I don't know. I don't.
Over the counter. Over the
Ah, okay. I don't
counter
know how to say
medication.
it. Over the counter. Yes, like
Over the
venta
counter.
libre.
Yeah, over the counter medication as opposed to prescription only.
Ah,
When you need a prescription,
yes,
it's not over the counter. But
yes,
here you can get things that are supposed to be prescription over
yes,
the counter.
yes,
So it's a bit weird. What
yeah,
the thing says and what it actually is actually different, right? Yeah. But
yes,
I think it's antihistamines, right?
yes.
That people with allergies take. Um, I think I have a chlorine um, allergy, possibly.
Ah,
Um, because when I go to the swimming pool, my nose is very, very itchy, and I know I
yes.
use a nose clip to stop the water from coming into my nose. So I look
Well,
like a bit of an
yeah. The same
what was that?
happens with bleach.
Mm,
When you clean or
yeah,
with
I try to avoid that at any
yes,
cost.
yes. It's. I mean, the
But
smell is.
well, I don't have it with bleach so much as with washing powder.
Yes.
The very
Mhm.
fine washing powder makes me feel very itchy. And then the other kind of allergy I may or may not have is penicillin.
Yes, I have as well.
Right, right. I had the test. There is a test, but the results are not conclusive
Mm,
because they tell you that even if they're negative, which they were, you may still be allergic. And I know from experience of taking antibiotics that I get a rash on my
yes,
face. So they have to give me antihistamines because of that. So I now know that I shouldn't take antibiotics that are
yes,
penicillin
yes,
based, but other antibiotics, and that's the
yeah.
way it is.
The thing is that sometimes you are allergic to uh, not to penicillin itself. I don't know how to explain
Uh-huh.
it, but with things that contain, let's say, penicillin. So if
Uh-huh.
the medicine has I don't know 1% of penicillin, let's say, you are allergic to that, but not to penicillin itself. So that's
Ah,
why the test, when
comes
you
out
take the
negative.
test, yes,
I did the test years ago. Yeah, you do medical tests. You take tests in school, but you do
okay,
medical
that I don't
tests.
know how to say it. That's why
Yeah,
I
yeah.
said I
Now that
do
you said it, yeah, you
do
do a
medical.
test.
Okay,
You have the test done. Um, because yeah, a test that you take is a school test. But I
okay,
had it done, I don't know, years ago, 20 years ago, maybe now they've got more advanced methods
mm.
to test that sort of thing. But what
Yes,
it
the one in the arm, they like put.
yeah,
I don't know.
I can't
I did that one
right,
with.
I can't remember which one it was, but what I do remember is that the result was inconclusive because what it says is it's negative. What am I doing? Why is that doing funny things? Inclusive. I'm trying to write and it's um, because it was negative, but it said, nevertheless, you may be
Yes,
allergic to penicillin.
yes,
I also think there's degrees of allergy because you can,
yes,
I mean, if you're really, really allergic, it can kill you, sort of thing, right?
yes,
Um, but in my case, the last time I took penicillin, what I did, what happened was I got a rash. That was
yes.
it. But
Yes,
but
you
yeah,
can choke, for instance.
yeah,
That
it's an
I don't know. I know
anaphylactic
that.
reaction.
Yes,
Mm,
yes.
mm. That happens
Something
with
glottis.
peanut
I don't know.
allergy.
Yes,
Yeah.
edema de glottis. I don't know how
Uh-huh.
to say.
I don't know. That my medical glottis edema. Let me see. Let's look. Let's share and let's start looking things up. Because at some point my medical knowledge vanishes and uh, glottal edema, suppose.
Yes, I think so.
Glottic. Okay,
Agglottic.
because the uh, edema, and it's spelt differently. It's okay. Edema glottidis is defined as the abnormal accumulation of fluid in tissues involving the supraglottic and subglottic region where laryngeal mucosa is loose. It is also known as laryngeal edema. Okay. Interesting. Well, every day you learn something new. Oh, and edema can be spelt with the O or without the O. Here we have
Edema.
edema of glottis. Yeah, because it's been
Yes, I think
anglicized, right?
it comes from, yes, from Latin. That's why
Yeah,
it's
but
similar to
this
us.
right, but this one has had the spelling anglicized because the OE is not
Yes.
common in English at all. Um, but yeah, supraglottic laryngeal edema, subglottic. Yeah. Yeah, I think that people who have what do you call it? Peanut
Mm.
allergy also have this issue. Anyway, how did
Yeah.
we get to talking about these things?
I don't know.
We
Because
started
I
out
was
with
like,
spring
yes, wiping
and
my nose, I think, or something
right,
like that.
because you had a runny
Yeah.
nose.
Yes.
A runny nose.
Running
Yeah,
nose.
runny. It doesn't mean it
Mm.
runs. It's just
Yes.
dripping. Well, you wouldn't say dripping, you say a runny nose. Um, okay. So, so other than allergies, how was your spring day and how's it been?
Yeah, it was
Uh,
fine. I rested.
okay, that's a good thing.
Yes.
Uh,
And it was a bit cloudy. I don't remember, but I mean, the weather wasn't
ah,
that good.
I didn't go out, but I think people did go out and
Yes,
hmm,
but it was like chilly. I don't know.
right. Well, it's kind of chillier now. It's
Yeah,
quite
well, now
grey
it's
and
awful.
horrible. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But it's they say it's the season of very changeable weather, right? Because it changes all
Mm.
the time. It goes from like the weekend where it was bright and sunny to now that's
Yes.
cold and grey and horrible,
Yes.
miserable. But
Yes.
anyway, how about your presentation
Well,
work? Have you had the chance to work on that?
yes. Yes,
How are we
yes,
doing
but
on that?
I think that physics is not my cup of tea.
Physics is not your cup of tea.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
I
I
mean, you don't
chose,
have to
okay.
become a physics expert, right?
I chose the chapter about the atom, right?
The atom.
Atom.
Hmm.
So yes, and this reminds me why I had to sit for physics lots of times at second high
But why
school.
did you choose that subject, that topic, that chapter?
Yeah, because
You're a masochist.
at first I wanted to deal with paleontology. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's okay.
Yeah, paleontology,
Because I
yes.
found some chapters about yes, paleontology and anthropology as well. Because I remember
Okay.
that by the end of the book, one chapter it talks about like a human, not a human, I don't know how to say, a Homo sapien. I don't know how to say it.
Homo sapiens. Yes, the
Sapien.
Homo
Yeah,
sapiens.
that was and this was found in I don't remember where, but I said,
Africa,
well, maybe,
probably.
yes, but yes, I think, well, maybe this is easier. I don't know. But then I got confused, and I read atom, and I said, oh, well, and I started reading it,
It's
and
small,
it,
maybe it's simple.
yes, I saw this at school a long time
Ah,
ago. by
Aha.
basic things, but I was
Right,
very
right,
bad
right.
at it. And I read and because there is another chapter about Einstein.
Mhm,
I don't know
mhm.
how to pronounce it, and his wife, well, his
Einstein,
first
Einstein.
Einstein, and his first
Uh-huh.
wife. I think
Because
it's chapter 8
EI in German is
is
pronounced as ein, I,
okay.
and
Yes.
IE in German is pronounced like E.
Okay.
So Einstein is as if it was spelled with an A instead of an E, but the
Yes.
word C in German, which can mean usted or ella, uh, is C, even though it's spelled SIE.
Hmm.
German is a lot like Spanish and not so much like English, in that if you know a few rules, you can read pretty much anything in German, even if you don't know what you're reading,
Hmm.
right? Because there's not as many exceptions as in English, say. Um, but this is one of the first ones that you have to learn in terms of spelling and pronunciation differences. So
Yes.
Einstein, you just have to pretend that instead of the E, there's an A.
Yes. I tried learning German like some years
Uh-huh.
ago, but I couldn't. I didn't understand a thing. And then when I had to remember that all the pronouns, I don't know,
Hmm.
because
Oh,
it
yes.
changes.
Well,
I
yeah.
well,
The
I said
declensions,
yes,
the declensions, the case system,
yes,
right? Because
yes,
there's accusative, nominative,
yes,
dative, and it changes not only with pronouns but with determiners and adjectives. They change
yes,
depending on the position of
yes.
the
I couldn't remember them,
well,
and
it's tricky. It's not
yes.
easy. It's
Well,
really
I
not easy.
and I read that chapter first. I think it is chapter 8, and I
Hmm.
watched the series about Einstein's life like 2 years ago.
Ah,
I don't know if
okay.
you if you have watched it,
No,
and it's
no.
interesting. And I when I read the chapter, I mean the previous one, chapter 8, I remember like certain things from that. But well, then when I read Atom, I thought, well, maybe it's easier. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, science is difficult. At least for me, it is
Well,
difficult.
science is difficult because usually because of bad school experiences.
Yes, I think so.
It's badly taught, unfortunately, a lot of the time. Um, but it's very interesting, and it's what
Yeah.
we're all about. And scientific literacy um, is something that we need a lot of, right? We've learned a lot about science in the last few months, right?
Yes.
Um, Trials and vaccination studies and all these approval systems and things like that maybe we
Hmm.
weren't so familiar with, but we kind of need to know a lot of these things, right? What I included there in your presentation is a series of 3 books. If you're interested in anthropology and
Hmm.
archaeology, and you mentioned sapiens, Homo sapiens,
Yeah.
um, this is a series of 3 books written by an academic called Yuval Noah Harari. Missing the middle name here. I'm going to add it. Yuval
Hmm.
Noah Harari, and wrote the first book, *Sapiens*, which is a brief history of humankind.
Hmm.
And then he wrote *Homo Deus*, which is a brief history of tomorrow. So he goes from, wait a minute until it loads. There you go. It goes from talking about the past to talking about the future. And he kind of predicts what the future of humanity will be like. And then there's 21 lessons for the 21st century, which is more like about the present, right? And
Hmm.
things that we need to do now to prevent bad things from happening in the future. Now, you can get these books from the book sites that we've mentioned, the Russian book sites.
Yeah.
Yeah. But here I've also put a link to the Drive folder where you can find. There's only two audiobooks. Well, yeah, the Sapiens and 21 Lessons. There's the audiobooks if you want to
Mhm.
listen to them. Okay.
Okay.
I listened to the three books. I've got the third one somewhere, but I don't know where. In the first part of the pandemic, sort of
Mm-hmm.
in May of last year,
Yeah.
and while I was doing lots of things like sweeping and
Mm-hmm.
cooking and washing up and things like that that I love doing, it was a way of distracting myself from that. But it's very, very interesting. So if you're interested in anthropology, I definitely
Mm-hmm.
recommend particularly A Brief History of Humankind. It's
Okay.
not as scientific as Bryson in the sense
Yes.
that he doesn't have as much. I mean, it is scientific, but it's more sociological.
Yes.
Phew, excuse me,
Bless you.
anthropological. Thank you. More based on the
Yeah.
social sciences and the social
Mm.
implications of it
Yes.
all. So maybe I don't know if you want to listen to a bit of it, and maybe we can, I don't know, towards the end of October, maybe we can discuss a chapter that you choose from
Okay.
it and that you may be interested in.
Yes.
You might find that
Last
in.
summer I read Anatomy of Love by, oh, I forgot her name. Helen Fisher. Yes.
Um, uh-huh.
Yes.
And
And
what
well,
was that like?
she's
I
an
haven't read it.
I liked it, and you can. I mean, it's not very difficult to follow. Well, she's an
Uh-huh.
anthropologist, so I mean, maybe she mentions like facts, and you have to know about them, but you can follow the. I mean, the book. It's not that technical. I don't know. I mean,
Okay.
some
That's
things.
good. Sounds
It
good.
depends on the chapter, but I mean, some chapters are more like technical than others. But it is more like humanistic. I don't know how to say it.
Okay. Yeah,
So
yeah, no, that's fine. That's
it's
a good
not
way of
that
saying it.
like yes, like I don't know how to say ciencias duras. I forgot it.
The hard sciences.
I had sciences because well,
Oh, yeah.
physics
Yeah.
is a hard science, and
Mhm,
but I
mhm.
think that anthropology is more like well, in fact, here you can
It's a
go
s Yeah,
to
it's more of a
filosofía y
social
letras to
science.
study.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, well, where those things are doesn't, I mean, linguistics is in filosofía y letras, right?
yes, as well. Yes,
But linguistics is not a department here, it's an orientation. And
yes,
those are
it is.
often kind of political decisions more than anything else. Um, and they change over time, and sometimes some of
Mhm.
those departments move. So I don't know, computer science may be in engineering, but it may also be
Yes,
in the science faculty. So those things change
yeah,
over time. Anyway, I'm going to stop sharing so that you can start sharing. Do you want
yes.
to? Yeah, there we go. I'll let you share.
Um, okay, let me wait.
In the meantime, I'm going to change the size of this. 'Cause it's just too
Where is
big.
the? Ay, tenía acá. I'm not seeing you right now because I
Okay,
can't.
you can if you want to. Let me
Ah, but I don't
explain to
know.
you how. I'll
But on
explain
the
to you
phone,
how. Ah, not on the phone. No, you're
no.
right. No, no, you can't on
Um,
the phone. It doesn't matter.
I
You don't need to see my face. Don't worry.
okay. I no no.
What I am seeing is
I
a very small image, though. But
okay. Maybe if
I
I
can
can.
change that. Maybe.
Oh wait, because I
Yeah, it looks very
yeah.
small at the moment.
Oh.
Maybe if you
Um.
present.
Yes, I press. I mean, it worked. I tried, but on another phone, and it worked. But I don't know. It's just
I can send
wait.
you a screenshot of what I'm seeing
I don't know how
so that
to
you
make
have
it
an
bigger.
idea.
I, I maybe if I do
The
this.
other thing you
No.
could do is send me
Yes.
the link to the presentation and I could see it as you're going along since it's only just us.
Yes. Because I don't know. I mean I can see it, but maybe on the computer. Well, let me because yeah, maybe it is bigger. It is the same size. Well, is it the same size?
Hasn't changed. No, it hasn't changed.
No. Okay. Well,
And
because I
listen,
don't know how
now it's
to.
changed a bit. Now it's changed. I think you're sharing. Hmm, I'm not that familiar with the phone
Yes,
use, but I think you may be sharing your screen.
on the of the meeting. Let's say.
Yeah,
I don't know the idea of the meeting because it is asking me that.
I, mm, I'm not sure why I'm seeing it the way
About
I'm
wait,
seeing.
wait, wait, because I could
Okay,
see it,
that's okay.
but
Take it
I don't
easy.
know how to. Mm-mm. What?
Take your time. Don't
If I can
worry.
find the ID
The ID of what?
of our meeting because it is asking me that.
You need a
Alright.
meeting ID. Uh,
Yes,
phew.
I found it here. Let me.
You
I
found
put.
it. Oh, cool.
Let me see if
Oh,
it's.
CAW.
Yes, that
Okay.
one. Where it is like
Okay.
joining.
Ah, okay. I
What's
see.
about
All right.
now?
I'm admitting you.
Ah, okay. Can
Okay.
you
And
see?
what? Ah, beautiful. Yeah,
Yes,
that's much
now yes. Ah,
better.
okay. Well, I
Yeah,
didn't know
yeah, yeah.
that. I thought that you could see it because I tried with another phone and it worked, but I
Eh,
didn't know how to see
who
it.
knows?
So
But
now
now
it is okay.
I can see it much better. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah. I can
Okay.
read it. Perfect.
Okay. Well, before I chose chapter 9, the mighty atom, and well, I'm going to start. Okay, so first, I want you to see these pictures, the following pictures, and I want you to think. I want you to think about them and to answer this question. What do these things have in common? What do you think? You are my
What
audience.
do they have in yes, I know, I know. Um, you've got an object, you've got a group of people, and you've got the elements of the world, not the natural world. There are things in the world.
Yes. Okay.
I'm playing your dumb audience.
It's
They are
okay.
all
Just
made up
like
of matter. They are all made up of matter.
okay, interesting. Okay.
You can touch and see them.
Okay.
Um,
You have a lot of
mm,
ideas. I like that. So we
some
have
are
a table.
man-made
Okay.
and
Yes.
some
Sorry.
are not man-made, right?
Okay. So
Some
we can.
are objects of nature. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we have a table. A group of people and a drop of water. And well, I will answer this question, and it is, if I can change this, that all things are made of atoms. All these things that we saw previously. Solid things like, for instance, a table of a chair, liquid things, let's say, like a drop of water, and even people. I mean, all things are made of atoms. And
Hmm.
here we have two examples of, but you can read them later of now, that how how atoms are in nature, for instance, with oxygen, and for instance at the in the sea, we can see the examples of atoms, in real life, let's say. And
Hmm.
I'm going to follow the structure of the chapter. I mean, I'm going to follow what Bryson says, because first he starts with the characteristics of atoms and the structure later on, and then he explains how scientists have reached to these conclusions, right? So,
Mhm.
oh my God. So, here we have full characteristics of atoms, right? So first, we have to think that we have in physics and chemistry, we have atoms and molecules, right? And a group of atoms combine to make molecules, right? We have the example, the previous one, that for instance we have two atoms of hydrogen to one. If you add two atoms of hydrogen to one of oxygen, you have a molecule of water, right? So we know that to make molecules, we need atoms. Then we have another characteristic of the atom is the fact that they are small. Yes, and there we have the size of an atom. And as they are too, like they are, yes, tiny and small, it was very difficult for scientists to discover how they work. And as they are small, they can, live in different objects. As I said, we saw the picture of the drop of water or a table. I mean, solid things or liquid or even humans. In the air, for instance, the air is full of atoms, and maybe we are not aware of that. So, as I said, it was very hard to detect how they work because of the size, the small size. Then we know that they are numerous, so they are everywhere. As I said, in things, in humans, in the air, in the sea, and Bryson mentions that um, atoms um, I mean that the one, because he mentions something very like philosophical, let's say, that he says that we are made of atoms, and when we die, those atoms like they recycle, and there is this idea of reincarnation, because some religions believe in reincarnation, and he says that there is in fact reincarnation because our atoms become other things, in life. So, as I say, they are everywhere, and there is this idea of reincarnation. And then we have that they are durable, like they go forever. Well, because it has to do with this idea of reincarnation, and they are they are hard. They can resist everything, and they become part of other things, as I said, and they're practically indestructible, sorry, because they are, yes, durable, strong. Well, these are the four characteristics of the atom. As I said, to come to this conclusion, scientists have worked a lot during the centuries, yes, but these are like this is what we know nowadays and what we learn at school, for instance. If I can change this. Well, and here we have the structure of the atom. Later on, as I said, I'm following the path that Bryson decides to take to write the chapter. We will see who designed this this drawing, let's say. Who discovered this, to be clear? Well, and here we have the three elements, the most important elements in the atom, the three particles. And they are protons, that they have positive charge, neutrons, which have no charge, and electrons, and that have a negative electrical charge. And there we have a beautiful, let's say, drawing in which we have the nucleus and the proton, in the middle, and they make the nucleus. Sorry, I said No, again, the nucleus is made of protons and neutrons, right? And it is a compact core, you know. It is very dense and heavy, and it is in the middle of the atom. And then we have electrons, sorry, and they are like all over, let's say, they move around the nucleus, okay? So this is the structure of the atom, the one that we know nowadays and we can find everywhere. If you're interested in learning more about it, or if you're studying at school, or if you read a book or whatever, okay? So now, as Bryson mentions in the book, he decides to explore the history of the atom and how it was discovered, okay? So he mentions a lot of important scientific scientists throughout the chapter. So here we have John Dalton and Mach. Dalton was an Englishman, okay, a teacher, in fact, and here we have like two different opinions about the atom. In the case of Dalton, he believes that the atom was a tiny, thing that was everywhere. And in fact, it is believed that he was the first person to like discover, let's say, the atom. But we know that, well, I mean, Bryson says that the Greeks knew a lot about them, so the ancient Greeks. So it's not like the first, person who discovers the atom, the structure of the atom. And then we have Mach, and he was from Germany, I think, and he didn't believe in the existence of atoms. As we can see, you can read the quote there. He thought that as they were, I mean, they didn't exist in the world because you couldn't perceive them. Okay, so we have like two opposite thoughts, ideas about the atom, right? And now we have another British man, Rutherford, and well, in fact, he was the first scientist who discovered the structure of the atom, as we saw previously, right? There we have a picture of his discovery, and well, that drawing is similar to what he found back then, and well, in fact, here we have that you have the nucleus, in the middle, with the neutrons and the protons, and then we have the electrons spinning around the nucleus, right, as we saw in the previous picture. But back then, there was like a very, I mean, the opinions were divided, let's say, because some scientists thought that the shape of the atom was similar to a cube, right? It was like a compact thing, and everything was there, the nucleus and the electrons, everything was there. But most of the scientists thought that, as it says there, you can see the picture, it was very similar to a raisin bun, that it was like everything together, but rounded, let's say, not a cube. So we have there, protons, electrons, neutrons, everything together. But this person discovered that that wasn't true, because electrons were spinning over the nucleus, right? It wasn't like a compact thing. The nucleus was compact, but the electrons weren't part of the nucleus. They were like yes, in another like orbit, let's say. And here we have because the metaphor of the fly and the cathedral, because Bryson mentions this metaphor to make us understand that, or to make it clear that we that atoms have a lot of empty space, right, between the nucleus, the core, this core, this nucleus, and the electrons, right? So he mentions that if we have the walls of a cathedral and we have inside the cathedral a fly, the fly would be the nucleus of the atom, and the cathedral the electrons. And there is like an empty space between them. Okay. Now we have Bohr. I think I looked it up and I couldn't find it. Sorry, I couldn't
Ball is
find it.
fine. Ball
Bohr.
is fine.
Okay.
It's like a ball or
Okay.
a ball.
I couldn't find it
Ball.
in the dictionary of names. I don't know why. Well, then I will
Yeah.
explain it later. Okay, because I had the same problem with Mach. Well, so Bohr, he was a co-worker and a follower, Rutherford follower. In fact, they worked together a lot, most of the time. And well, he wrote this paper on the constitutions of atoms and molecules. And well, he developed this hypothesis known as quantum leap or quantum jump. And in this case, we can find that from now on, scientists are more focused on electrons, right? Because up to now, they didn't have much information about them. But here they're like more interested in knowing how they behave in the atom. So here he found out that electrons, sorry, spin over the nucleus, and they don't follow in the nucleus because there is this empty space, and they are in not inside, on an orbit, so they are like spinning all over the nucleus, like Bryson mentions the comparison between the spins of a fan. So they don't, thus they have this empty space between, they are in this orbit, and they don't fall into the nucleus, you know. And we have here something important: the creation of the atomic bomb and atomic energy. And this is important because I'm going to say what I understood, but he mentions that in the, well, Bradford as well, both of them mention that we have in the nucleus, we have a positive charge, right? So the nucleus could explode, let's say. But when they found that we could find neutrons inside them, these neutrons prevent the nucleus from exploding, let's say. So I understood that this has to do with the creation of the atomic bomb, because if you manipulate that, you can make the nucleus of an atom can explode if you I don't know, if you don't have the neutrons there. And I think that this discovery is important because they find out this, and Bryson mentions that later on the Germans use all these findings to create the atomic bomb. Okay, and now we have Heisenberg and another German person, and we have the well, and as I said, they are more focused on knowing more about electrons. Um, so he mentions two hypotheses. The first one is the uncertainty principle and quantum mechanics. And here we focus, as I said, on the electron. And here we have, because quantum mechanics it was like quite difficult for me to understand how it works. But I understood that sometimes atoms can behave as waves or particles, but they don't know how they will behave. So it's very hard for them to identify, this behavior. And this has to do with quantum mechanics. And in the case of the uncertainty principle, he mentions that we can now predict, as it says there, where an electron will be, because when you try to measure, where the electron is in the orbit, the fact that you are involving in that action, you are measuring, that changes. I'm trying to explain it with my own words. That changes the the process, and you can't find an exact answer to that to that process. So it's not that exact. That's why it is called, like, not, it is uncertain, right? And well, here we have Pauli, and well, Schrödinger. I don't know how to pronounce it. Schrödinger. Um,
Schrödinger,
oh my
Schrödinger,
god, I couldn't
Schrödinger.
find it. I couldn't find it either. Yes,
It's
and I
it's
couldn't
German.
write. Yes,
Schrödinger,
and
and it's got an umlaut on top of the O.
okay, yes,
It's tricky
Pauli.
because
Yes,
you, yeah.
Pauli. I
No,
found
and
it.
Schröding, right, right. But sometimes what you, well, keep going. We'll talk
Yes,
about that in a
yes.
minute.
These Germans kill me. Well, and here we have, as I mentioned before, Heisenberg developed the quantum theory and quantum mechanics. And here, Pauli kept on developing this theory, or these ideas of this idea, and they focus on subatomic particles, right? And in this case, the exclusion principle talks about the fact that particles have like a twin somewhere. So, and this twin knows how the other twin will behave, even if it is in another part of the world. And well, we have the quantum theory and the spin principle that has to do with this. That in the text, in the chapter, sorry, Bryson mentioned that if you spin, I don't know, yes, if you throw a ball in the States, if someone else does the same in Japan, for instance, they will go in opposite directions. So this has to do with this theory of, both of them, like quantum theory and exclusion principle. And then we have, I can't pronounce it, this experiment, this hypothesis, let's say, but Schrödinger. And
Schrödinger.
oh my god, I can't, I can't pronounce it. That the famous the box and the cat, and in which I he says that if you have a cat inside the box and you yes, you I don't know how to say it. You put like a toxic substance, and the particles decide to break the thing which you put them. The cat can die or not, but it's not exact. It was very hard for me to understand this. I understood that this has to do with the fact that you don't know, you cannot predict in physics how the particles will behave. So because, as I read, you don't know if they're going to behave as waves or as particles. So I think that it has to do with that, but it wasn't quite clear for me. And but it has to do with this, that you cannot predict things in physics. But well, I don't know. I've
Okay,
tried to
we'll talk
explain it
about it in a
with my
minute. Well, don't worry.
yes. I googled it and I couldn't get it, and I found that beautiful picture with the cat. And well, to explain it better than I did. Well, and I think that that's it. Well,
Okay.
reference the book, the chapter by Bryson. Well, I have to get out of here. Let me
Okay.
see if I can go back to the meeting. Wait, here.
Got several things open in relation to this. Give me a
I know
second.
because you cannot see me. I know, yes.
I can see you.
Okay.
Yes, I can see.
Ah,
Now I
yes,
can
okay.
see you and the presentation
Ah, yes, it is like there. I don't know how to.
because you're two different people. But I've got several other
Ah,
things
yes,
open. So
that's why.
wait a minute. Give me a sec. I'll show you how I see you. There. That's perfect actually. Um, okay. We're going to do something because I've written some feedback on all of this. And what I'm going to, how can I make you, if I want you to upload a presentation, I can put that in the comments, but I'm thinking. If I give you an assignment,
Mm-hmm.
load your presentation here. What do I have to do for you to upload the slides? So I don't normally do that. Let me
Like an
see.
assignment, like
Yeah, I
the
know.
those. I mean,
I'm
similar
gonna.
to the portfolio, I think, right?
Right, right. But do I need to attach something? No, I don't. Do I? You need to
I mean,
attach something once I've
yes,
assigned it,
yes.
right? Okay, so I'm going to remove this. I'm just going to assign it. Um, okay. Mm, a short history of nearly everything. There we go. And I've assigned it. Okay. Great. So you'll be able to upload your presentation there. But I'm going to send you now in the chat. I'm going to send you this feedback later in the classroom. But I'm going to send you what I just wrote out in the chat so that you have
Mm-hmm.
it. It
Okay.
doesn't have too much form. No, it's too long. So how do I send it to you? Give me a second. I'm going to send it to you on WhatsApp. Is this? Yeah, it's not ideal, but mhm. Okay. I'm sending it
Mm-hmm.
to you on WhatsApp
Oh,
so
yes,
that we can go over the different points there. I'll put it into the classroom, okay? Once you upload your presentation. Now, have a look at the things I wrote.
yes.
Um, and then we can talk about them a little bit. They're just notes. Okay. So see, here we were. Right. Mhm. Okay. So, do you want to go over things and tell
Yes,
me what you?
electron. I hate that word. Oh my god!
I realize
And then
that
I want to mention
you
something
looked it
because
up. You know how it's
yes,
pronounced, but
I have
you have
wait,
trouble with it.
I have on the list here. It continues.
No, no, I
No,
know exactly what you
the
mean.
thing is that you have subatomic, and then you have atomic, and then you have atom.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
hate you,
Yeah.
English.
What can I say? What
Um,
can I say? Yes.
and then
Pronunciation is a bitch.
yes,
And stress is
protons.
a bitch.
You
Protons.
have the diphthong, and then the sixth number sixth. So it is like strong everywhere
Mhm,
because it's
mhm.
not like protons.
Absolutely. It's a
So I hate
bastard.
it.
I know. I know. I know. It's a bitch or a bastard, whatever
Well,
you want. But what can you do
mm,
so that they don't get you into trouble? Is my question. What could
I
you do?
wrote them in another color in my notes, and I tried to learn it, but I don't know
Okay.
because we do that in lab. When you are reading a text and you have to know the pronunciation first. You look it
Right.
up.
But that's when you're reading a text, right? Here
Yes.
you weren't
You
reading a text, and that's
know.
part of the problem, right?
I
Uh,
tried to memorize it,
oh no, 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 no.
but you do
Memorizing
that in
terrible.
lab.
Yeah, but life is not about memorizing texts. It's a nightmare to try and memorize, don't you think?
Yes,
That's not what we do in real life. Why would you do that? It's terribly difficult to memorize. I wouldn't go do that. What else could you do that might help you?
I listen to the pronunciation in the dictionary.
Okay, so
That's
listening
another
and
possibility.
repeating. Listening
Yes,
and repeating, but that is still the isolated word, and your
yes,
problem was in connected speech,
okay,
right? Because what you need to do is get the word into the
yes,
string of words, right? So
yes,
anything else you could do? Maybe you probably did do this in lab, right? Did you ever record yourself
yes.
and listen to yourself?
Unfortunately,
It's not a pleasurable activity, I understand that, but it's it may help you. That's one possibility, right? Um, to do it and to try and see what what combinations you find particularly difficult,
yes,
right? If any, and if there's any avoidance strategies, we people use avoidance. Oops, avoidance. Wait. Avoidance strategies. Right? So maybe people have trouble pronouncing 1000. So that instead of
yeah,
saying 1200, they say 1200. Right? That's an avoidance
yeah,
strategy. You avoid the things that you know are going to cause you trouble. So maybe you want to think of the text without including so much the word electrons and use the
yes,
pronouns a bit more.
yes,
Maybe in combination with other things. Maybe you're particularly attentive. Maybe you write them down um, in the presentation to remind you uh, that you're going to say that word.
hmm,
Maybe that helps you. Um, I don't know. Rehearsing is a good thing,
yeah,
not memorizing, rehearsing more, right?
mm,
And recording yourself while explaining, right? That those are all strategies that may help with something that you know will give you trouble,
hmm,
okay? Because you can anticipate this. It's not as if it takes you by surprise, right? So,
hmm,
as I say, maybe using the presentation to your benefit, not just to your audience's benefit. Okay,
Yes.
and
I
that's
think that I
go on.
thought about the word in Spanish, elect,
Mhm.
yes, and it is, I don't
Electrones.
know, but I
That,
don't
but it
know if,
changes. Electrons, electrones. Usually, stress in English goes
yes,
closer to the beginning of the word, and stress in Spanish, it moves at least one or two syllables
uh,
back, right? So that's part of what is causing you
uh,
trouble, right? Because
yes,
it's electrones versus
yes.
electrons.
Like when I read the word, I mean, I don't know why I start thinking it's in Spanish. Maybe because it was like,
Because
I
you're
mean,
familiar with it in Spanish, it's perfectly normal.
yes, and it's not something that maybe I don't read. I don't usually read scientific text in
Of
English.
course,
Well,
of
not even in
course.
Spanish. but,
But you're
well,
familiar with the word in Spanish,
yes,
of course,
because we
of
saw
course.
it at school and well,
Right,
and everything.
right. But you know it's going to cause you trouble. You know
Yes.
it in advance. So try to prevent in as many possible ways as you can manage, right? Um, so what else? What else
And
did you
well, it yes, answer your questions. I didn't mention that the book because I included it at the end of the presentation.
Of course, of
That's
course.
why.
Now,
I
this is a book about a chapter in a book,
yes,
right?
yes.
So it's not so much that you have a reference,
Mm,
because references are things that you make reference to
mm,
throughout the presentation, right? So I would put it at the beginning. You can put the book
okay.
cover, you can use
Okay.
images there, but you should certainly include the information related to who you are, what the
Mm,
context of the presentation is, what the data, all that factual information
mm,
should appear there. Okay.
mm.
And this is something that you should bear in mind for the final exam.
Okay. In the last slide.
The first one.
Okay. I got confused. Okay.
The first one, because
Okay.
it's like your cover page. It's like your opening page,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
In a real life presentation, this might be up on the screen while people are coming in to make sure that
Okay.
they're in the right place. You see?
Yes.
So it's important that you have all the information there, right? And even in a small situation like this one, or in an exam, it's important. I mean, this presentation could then be shared with somebody else, and you'll
Mm-hmm.
forget where you did it, what you did it for,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever. And it's important that you have that information all included, like in the components, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it helps you contextualize it. What was it done for? Where was it done? Who, even who requested it? I'm not fussed if you put my name down or not,
Mm-hmm.
but yours should be there for sure, because it's your authorship. You
Mm-hmm.
created it. Okay?
Yes.
Good. What else?
Okay. Let me. Um, a grammatical structure of your presentation. Eh?
Ah, okay.
Ah,
Show me that slide at the beginning.
wait.
Uh, oh, okay. Don't worry. I
What do I
mean,
have to do?
send me the link to the presentation in the chat.
But
Can
I
you do
think that
that?
I can share it again or not.
You can if you want to. Yes, yes, yes,
Well,
you can.
wait.
Certainly.
I need time.
I,
Alright,
okay, all right.
let me. Wait. Yeah. No. This. Right. Wait.
It's the one where
I.
you had the
Yes.
bullets, that one.
Here.
Okay, okay. The characteristics of the atom. You have a bullet list there. A bullet
Yes.
list is an enumeration, mm,
Yes.
right? It's you're listing something. The things in the enumeration should be of the same kind. So you could have atoms at without a bullet, and then say combine to make molecules, are
Okay.
small, uh, are usually are numerous, are practically indestructible. Or you could say, atoms are small, numerous, practically indestructible, and then, but they should be of the same kind. It's like
Okay.
when you do an enumeration in grammar, right? You say, uh, I like chocolates, cakes, and I don't know, and on the bicycle. You don't say
Yeah.
that, right? It has to be the same
Yeah.
category that you enumerate, right?
Yeah.
Same thing applies to this. A trick that I will show you for your future presentations. This you did in Google Slides, right? I'm going to share
Yes.
now so that you can see something that may help
I have.
you.
I wait.
Yeah, wait
Oh.
a minute, because I have so many things open too that it's difficult.
Mm,
Give me a sec. I'm going to open a new slide,
um,
a new
ah,
presentation, and I'm
I
going to
am
share
here
that.
again.
It doesn't matter. I'll share this one. Okay.
I'm here.
The important thing is that you should be able to see. First of all, when you start a presentation, it gives you a number of options in terms of themes that you can choose. You see them here
Yes.
on the side. When you
Yes.
choose those themes, it gives you a kind of layout and color uh, system that, it chooses, it kind of coordinates different aspects of the presentation, right? And when you go to slides and you can apply layouts, it kind of helps you uh, format things, right? But beyond that, you can also do the following. Look, say I choose this one, which is quite simple, and I talk about atoms, and I want to pick, I go to pick pictures, or I'll do it directly from the slides. Give me a sec. Here, I want to insert a picture, and I go to insert image, search the web, and I put atoms here. Atoms. Mhm. Okay, insert. These, by the way, are diagrams, not pictures.
Ah, okay.
Okay. And furthermore, in your context, they are models.
Ah,
Okay,
okay.
they are models of atoms, because what they show and what these people came up with is not so much a discovery, but
Mm,
a scientific model of how atoms
mm,
work. Okay, now look,
yes.
I inserted that picture, right? I go down here to explore, and I click on explore, and look at what it gives me.
Ah, yes.
All these different options of presentations that I can choose.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, say I want another slide, and I want to, I pick, let me close this, and I want to insert again an image, and I want to insert again atoms, and I want this one because I like it. I insert it, but I also want to insert another picture. Wait. And I want to look at electrons. Yeah, there. I don't know. I'm just, you know, inventing here, but whatever. No, I don't like that one so much. Let's say this one, that one. Okay, whatever I want to show. Now I go to explore. Okay, I put too many in there, but I can change the slide layout. Let's go here. Let's go change the size a little bit, and you'll see. Ah, bollocks. Give me a sec. I'm going to remove this. I'm just playing around a little bit with the shapes and making them a bit smaller. I'm going to remove that one. Say I have those two. See, it gives me cool ways of presenting the information, and I can choose different ways that suit what I'm going to say without
Mhm,
too much trouble. Okay.
mm,
And it's
yeah.
quite impressive, right?
Mm,
If you want to take this a notch up, You can try Canva. I don't
Yeah.
know if you've ever tried Canva. If
I
you go
heard
to
about it, but no, I would never use it.
okay, dare use it. If you go to Canva and you this is me in Canva. Let me just check because things are happening in my house. Just a second. Sorry, people leaving the house and they need to be back, and I don't know if they're going to be back. Anyway, so say I'm here in Canva and I
Mhm.
want to search Canva, and I do a search and I look for atom. I've not done this, okay, but let's
Um,
see what happens when I do that. See? Now
mhm.
I can design a poster. I've got five uh, examples to design a presentation looking for, or maybe not atom, maybe let's do physics.
Mhm.
And it gives me 160 presentation um, layouts to do physics presentations. Okay. I don't know. You can pick, and they already come all design with lots of design, and you can just pick and modify what they offer you. This is
Yeah.
just an idea for something you may want to explore. I haven't used it a lot, but I have students who have used it a lot, and it's very impressive. It looks like you've done a
Mhm.
lot of design work. Okay,
Yes.
cool.
In my case, I chose to use like simple, I don't know, slides, let's say, because I don't know, if I put a lot of things like pictures and colors and everything, I got confused.
Well, exactly,
I
but that's the
don't
thing
know. It was
about
like,
themes. You shouldn't pick a lot. If you pick a theme and you ask it to suggest formats, then you don't get confused.
mm,
You can modify what you have, and it looks much more impressive.
mm,
Play around, make a copy and play around with it. Trust me,
yes,
it'll look good. Okay, what other comments do
yes,
you have that you want to
and
mention or that you want to
yes.
ask me about?
Oh, wait. You mentioned, well, what we told me, the model of atoms,
Yes, a
because
model.
wait.
Yeah, in that
Yes,
sense, make sure you use the because that's not just a picture. That's a model.
yes.
That's what
I
matters.
thought that it was a drawing because in the text, it said it. I mean, that, well, not the text, but Bryson mentions that Rutherford like created a new, well, model in this case, but I, I imagined like a drawing. I didn't know that this person was like drawing an atom.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
probably. But what he was doing, it's not a drawing in the artistic sense
Mm,
or a drawing in the resembling reality sense. Notice
mm,
that the size, for example, is much bigger. Something typical of a model is that it
yeah,
doesn't respect the real life size. It can be smaller. You can have a model town, for example, on a
yeah,
maquette, right? Like architects build.
yeah,
And those are models because you're trying to show something by modifying the scale.
hmm,
But above all, in this case, it's a theoretical model. That's the key thing of it, because it's how they thought the atom worked.
hmm, yes,
God, I can't read, it's too small. Theoretical model. Okay, it's how they propose. That's why it's something they proposed, right?
yes,
Because yes, of course, they made a drawing on paper, or they could do a 3D model, right? Like a DNA model, was
Yes.
again a model, right? But the idea is that this is something that these scientists propose about how they think this works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, in the
Yes.
same way as you propose a theory, you propose a
Yes.
theoretical model. Good. What else?
And well, pet words like
Hmm?
Yes.
Come again? What was that?
Sorry. Pet words, overusing
Yes,
pet
yes.
what
Yeah, you didn't
like
overuse them that much. You didn't
Okay.
do it that much, but it's one or two is okay.
Okay.
But beware when I hear one
That's
or
the
two at the
limit.
beginning. Well, when I hear one or two at the beginning, I just worry that
Okay.
there's going to be too many more.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's why I wrote it so that I didn't forget it.
Okay.
But
Okay.
if you have a tendency towards doing that, try to avoid it. And again,
Yes.
recording yourself, because sometimes you don't notice when you use pet words. Now, I mean, not just
Yeah.
you, people don't notice, right? But they can be very distracting. Because I always give the example of my philosophy teacher in school. She used to
Yes.
say at the end of every sentence, no, no, no. And it was so distracting. We once timed her and we counted how many she said in a minute. We obviously weren't listening to what she was saying, you see? So you have to avoid that, because, in the same way as you have to avoid gestures that are
Okay.
distracting, a bit of gestures is okay, and it's part of expressing what you're saying, and that's okay. It's more difficult to see it online because you don't have the full person, but gestures and body language can be used purposefully
Mhm.
or can be very distracting.
Yes.
Okay. My husband, when he started teaching, he used to do this when he was listing something. There was this, there was that, there was that. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Because it just became very distracting to me. But it helped a lot that we were being filmed because we taught an interactive
Uh,
television at that time. And we could, it's horrible to watch yourself, you know, teach. Uh, as as the person who's been recording her classes for 2 years. But it's a very good lesson because you really see these things. So it's a good way to practice. If you're going to practice, record yourself, not just in audio, in video, because you're going to be delivering things in video, right?
yes. In video. Yes.
You can do
And
it on your
well,
own.
I'm sorry.
No, no, it's okay.
And then I said it was for Germany, I think.
Um, he
I
was
said
from
he
Germany, I
was,
think.
yeah.
Right, right.
Because I thought I mean, most of them were from Germany.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
then
yeah.
I didn't know. I was like, was it or not?
Okay, just
And
okay.
no,
If
yes, yes. And I
either
wanted to
don't say
mention.
it, or or say he was from Germany and then skip it, and then that's it. But
Yes.
don't
It was like too honest.
right. But you don't need to be. Nobody's
Yes.
asking you to tell me where he was from, right?
In
So
particular with yes, with this guy with Mach, I looked it up. I mean, I looked up his surname in that dictionary. I mean, dictionary of names, and I
yeah,
found the pronunciation in French, and it was match. No,
yeah.
well,
Well,
I don't know.
names are
So I
difficult.
was wrong.
Names are
Yeah.
difficult because they can also when the person moves, the pronunciation of
Yes.
the name may change, and the person may be
I
German, but
have it.
then
Yes.
Einstein is pronounced in German, even though he was German, but then he spent
Yes.
most of his later life in the States,
In
but he
America.
just
Yes.
kept the pronunciation. But people's names change, right? Now, this is what I was going to tell you, because yeah, there are places where you can find the pronunciation of names, but that is usually for the pronunciation of first names, right? It's more difficult
Okay.
to find the pronunciation of surnames, right?
Yes.
Which is why
Well, I
if
found the pronunciation of surnames in Wikipedia.
Yeah,
I don't know if
that's a
it's the
good
best
source.
source,
No, no,
but
no, no. It's a good
it
source for
worked.
that sort of thing. Absolutely. But I was going to suggest, particularly for one of the ones you had trouble, to consult things like this. Look at this. Give me a sec. Okay.
Austrian physicist Erwin Schrödinger is one of the founders of quantum mechanics, but he's most famous for something he never actually did, a thought experiment involving a cat. He imagined taking a cat and placing it in a sealed box with a device that had a 50% chance of killing the cat in the next hour. At the end of that hour, he asked, "What is the state of the cat?" Common sense suggests that the cat is either alive or dead. But Schrödinger pointed out that according to quantum physics, at the instant before the box is opened, the cat is equal parts alive and dead at the same time. It's only when the box is opened that we see a single definite state. Until then, the cat is a blur of probability, half one thing and half the other. This seems absurd, which was Schrodinger's point. He found quantum physics so philosophically disturbing that he abandoned the theory he had helped make and turned to writing about biology. As absurd as it may seem, though, Schrodinger's cat is very real. In fact, it's essential. If it weren't possible for quantum objects to be in two states at once, the computer you're using to watch this couldn't exist. The quantum phenomenon of superposition is a consequence of the dual particle and wave nature of everything. In order for an object to have a wavelength, it must extend over some region of space, which means it occupies many positions at the same time. The wavelength of an object limited to a small region of space can't be perfectly defined, though, so it exists in many different wavelengths at the same time. We don't see these wave properties for everyday objects because the wavelength decreases as the momentum increases, and a cat is relatively big and heavy. If we took a single atom and blew it up to the size of the solar system, the wavelength of a cat running from a physicist would be as small as an atom within that solar system. That's far too small to detect, so we'll never see wave behavior from a cat. A tiny particle like an electron, though, can show dramatic evidence of its dual nature. If we shoot electrons, one at a time, at a set of two narrow slits cut in a barrier, each electron on the far side is detected at a single place at a specific instant, like a particle. But if you repeat this experiment many times, keeping track of all the individual detections, you'll see them trace out a pattern that's characteristic of wave behavior, a set of stripes, regions with many electrons separated by regions where there are none at all. Block one of the slits and the stripes go away. This shows that the pattern is a result of each electron going through both slits at the same time. A single electron isn't choosing to go left or right, but left and right simultaneously. This superposition of states also leads to modern technology. An electron near the nucleus of an atom exists in a spread out wave-like orbit. Bring two atoms close together, and the electrons don't need to choose just one atom, but are shared between them. This is how some chemical bonds form. An electron in a molecule isn't on just atom A or atom B, but A plus B. As you add more atoms, the electrons spread out more, shared between vast numbers of atoms at the same time. The electrons in a solid aren't bound to a particular atom, but shared among all of them, extending over a large range of space. This gigantic superposition of states determines the ways electrons move through the material, whether it's a conductor or an insulator or a semiconductor. Understanding how electrons are shared among atoms allows us to precisely control the properties of semiconductor materials like silicon. Combining different semiconductors in the right way allows us to make transistors on a tiny scale, millions on a single computer chip. Those chips and their spread out electrons power the computer you're using to watch this video. An old joke says that the internet exists to allow the sharing of cat videos. At a very deep level, though, the internet owes its existence to an Austrian physicist and his imaginary cat.
No.
So that video goes well beyond the
Yeah.
pronunciation of Schrödinger, but it may help you understand a little bit more about the cat.
Yes.
And it
Uh,
certainly contains the pronunciation.
yes. Well, I
Okay.
understood that the difference between waves and particles, so I was like almost there. But well,
I mean, I'm not going to
it
say
was
this out
difficult.
loud in too many contexts, but for the purposes of what we are doing, uh, you can produce a presentation on a topic you're not entirely familiar with.
Mm,
And this is what I meant about what you had to do for this presentation. What you had to do was present the topic. And, I'm for our purposes, I'm more interested in how the chapter is structured, how the
mm,
material is presented, what techniques are used, and so on and so forth. So don't worry too much
okay.
um, about the actual content, because
Yes.
this is not a physics class, okay? This is just an excuse to understand how non-fiction texts are written, which is different from how a novel is written.
Yes.
Okay, and how evidence is used, and how quotes are used, and
Mm,
how, you know information is used to build an argument. Okay,
mm,
which is why, it was good that you presented the points. You said you were going to follow the structure. You talked about the sources. You included the relevant authorities, and so on and so forth. Okay, so
yes.
that's fine. That's fine. Anything else from the
Mm,
feedback that you want to mention, or
mm,
that you are
mm,
not sure about?
mm. Um, hydrogen. How do you pronounce it? I don't know what I.
Hydrogen. Hydrogen.
Hydrogen and
Again,
oxygen. Uh,
hydrogen and oxygen. There's the stress issue, and then there's the issue of using these in connected speech. So,
okay.
an atom is made of hydrogen and oxygen and equal particles,
Okay.
whatever, da 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 da. That. Uh, it's practice. It's so that you don't stumble when you get to that word, right?
Okay.
It's so that you don't go. The atom is made up of hydrogen,
But
right?
yes, I know. The thing is that I have problems with all the sounds in English, but that
Don't
particular that
don't say
particular
that.
I can't remember if it is a fricative. Oh my god! I mean the ja when it
It's a
is not the
fricative.
cha.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is a fricative. Yeah.
Well, I had a lot of problems, and in
Fricatives
lab
are
I had
sounds that produce friction. So
yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, and I remember
all
that
these are fricatives.
I was told that um I needed like more air to produce it. I mean, correctly. And
Air,
I didn't because, for instance, when I say I don't know, just my teacher
dust.
used to tell me that it was like a chest, like to
Mm,
cha.
mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
So I need more air to produce it, and I try to like to have, and that's why maybe in that
I'm not
particular
sure that
case,
it's a question of lung capacity. I don't think
I
it's
think
that. I think it's air buildup, that you need to have the air um d because
yeah.
you're blocking the air, and then you're releasing it, right? And you're releasing it at a certain, you have to release it at a certain speed, so that it's a certain sound that you produce and not another. um
Mm.
did I mention the pink trombone to you?
Yes,
uh
yes,
yeah.
before.
There are different tools and different uh different apps that you can use to practice this sort of thing. um I can't say this is my area of
Mm.
speciality, or particular affection, because I think that a lot of what happens is not very conducive to helping you in the institutional context, I think that there's a lot of traumatic way of dealing with this
Yes.
topic,
That's
and I
why
don't.
maybe when I saw the word, it was like, okay, let's think how to pronounce it.
No, and you should, but you should develop your own strategies. You should. Okay, first I come across this word, I attempt a pronunciation, then I check that pronunciation with the pronunciation in the dictionary, Wikipedia, wherever the hell. Now all the dictionaries come with the transcription and with an audio file that you can use to listen
Yes.
to it. Um, there's also, I think, there's probably speech processing apps where you can each app. I'm sure there must be. I mean, this is something that speech therapy apps. God no, you don't need speech blobs. What the hell is that? Um, best public speaking apps. I don't know. There's loads of these things being developed. I don't know. Fun speech therapy for kids. What's going on?
I don't know. How do you say lo mal burro in front of my house?
Oh, now you said it in Spanish. Wait. Um, speed bump. A speed bump.
Yes. And they try to
That's outside your house and I can hear
yes,
it so close. Wow.
yes.
Wow.
Like
Wow.
in front, I don't know, well,
Opposite.
in the middle
Opposite
of
your home.
yes, but there.
Right,
So
right, right.
maybe that's why.
I don't know. I'm sure there's apps and things that are probably helpful in some of these. A lot of these are developed for kids, obviously, um, but nine best speech. I mean, you don't need speech therapy. Don't think that that's what I'm saying. But maybe some of these apps that are developed for this purpose may be helpful in in dealing with particular sounds, um, English, foreign language sort of thing, um, speech to text apps that use speech recognition, this sort of thing. Six language apps that use speech recognition for well-rounded learning. I don't know. You should explore
Mm,
some of these and see what. I mean, some of these are just commercial things, but maybe there's some that are helpful to help you work on particular
mm.
areas that you identify as problematic. But focus on
Yes,
some. Don't obsess with everything because
yes,
it, otherwise you spread yourself out too thinly, and you should work on those things that you think may be impeding to understanding and to
mm,
communication, or that cause you particular uh, stumbling blocks where you
mm,
stumble because this sound is coming up and it's going to
yes,
traumatize you, and you figure out ways of dealing with it, but don't
yes.
don't
We
go
in
crazy
lab
over it.
we listen or we watch videos of native speaking, but I don't know. I remember those from the BBC. There is this
Mm.
blonde woman pronouncing
Yeah.
the different sounds, and I mean, my teachers used to tell me, well, watch them and try to imitate. Yes, but well, she's a native. Why not?
Well, of course, but that's a whole
Mm,
other discussion, because why should the models that you listen to be native speakers, right? When
yes.
that's not what you are about to become. On the other hand, what happens if you get models that are non-native speakers, proficient non-native speakers, but who have, I think there should be a lot more work on what it is that is impeding deviations from certain norms where that causes misunderstanding, uh,
Mm,
and differentiating the two things. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, it's it's not that it's not that I don't know. It shouldn't be traumatic. Oh, I've got
Yes.
hiccups. I'm sorry. um, so yeah, take
Yes,
it
I think
easy.
that our experience, I don't know, in my case, my experience in lab wasn't that good.
No, I don't
um,
think anybody's is. I don't know many
no, some
people,
people, I
but some
mean,
people
they,
end up, yeah, some people end up loving it and going for it and specializing in that area. And I'm always surprised because I think that there's an element of I don't want to say torture, but it's very sadistic the way it works. I don't know, but for different people, different things work. I there was a speaker who came to Lengua Vivas a couple of years ago who tried to persuade phonetics teachers that teaching transcription was not terribly helpful
mm,
when it came to modifying speech patterns. And they went, ah, ha, 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 and modified nothing.
yeah.
So go figure, right?
Mm.
I don't know. It's difficult to understand.
But I don't know how Lenguas Vivas works, but at Joaquin, I think that they have this tradition that pronunciation is very important.
I
And
know. Well,
if you
Joaquin
can't
has a lot more.
pronounce,
Yeah, you've got all the
uh,
labs that none of the other
yes,
places have.
yes, and
But
this idea that if you can't pronounce a word properly, you are not a good teacher. And
yeah.
they still have this idea. I mean,
Oh
it is
yeah. Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. More problematic is that the outcomes, which are never evaluated, I don't think are that different when you correlate them. I mean, if you have twice as much work done in that area, you should have a result that is twice as good. And I don't think that's the case,
Mm.
right? So there's something wrong somewhere. It's a rite of passage. What can I say?
Yes.
It's
Yes, it
you've
has
passed
to do
it.
with this tradition that I don't know, you had to suffer in lab, you had to suffer in language, I don't know, in order to be a teacher. I mean, some of them believe that. That's why I'm saying it because I heard it. But in lab, I mean, I don't know, for me it was a nightmare. And I like phonetics and I like the theory. You know, I like reading about it, I like accents. But as I suffered a lot, I don't even
Yep,
want to I don't know,
go
to
there.
read that. Yes, I don't know. I didn't even want to like to go to the place. I mean,
Mm.
downstairs we have. I don't know. I don't know. It was awful for me. And then here I said here we have. I tend to do that. I don't know why I use because you wrote it.
What did I wrote? Right? What is it?
Yes, here I said here we have in the think
Ah,
tag.
yes. Ah, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. It's not that we tend to use a lot tenemos in Spanish.
Yes.
Let me just finish with something and I'll tell you what I mean exactly. Um, uh, yes. In English, we tend not to say we have because we don't have
Yes.
anything. So
Yes.
there's we tend to use a lot more there is, there are,
Ah, okay.
or simply say it was Rutherford who or Bohr who did
Ah,
this or
okay.
that, but we don't have anything. I know that in Spanish we say tenemos y
Sí.
sí,
Yeah.
but we
Yes.
don't have anything, right?
Yes.
So that's Yeah, that's why I wrote that.
Yes.
It's not that it's wrong in itself, but it's
No,
that
well,
it's
because
not
I remember that
grammatically what is used.
last year in linguistics, I used to say, then we have, and my teacher told me, don't say that.
Because we don't have
I
anything.
don't know why.
It's there is, and then whatever. But
Yes,
having
entonces, yes,
that's yeah, that's
Spanish.
usually a transfer. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I
Anything
said,
else?
yes, I said John Dalton and Mach. I should have said
Right.
John Dalton
Ernst
and
Mach.
Ernst. Ah, okay.
You either say the two surnames, Dalton and Mach,
Ah,
or
okay.
John Dalton and Ernst Mach, right? Because just for the sake of balance, right? Because otherwise
Ah,
you're
okay.
calling one with both names and the other one with just one,
And
right? So
during the
that's
centuries, I don't know. Sorry.
over the centuries,
Ah,
over the
okay.
centuries, not
Because
not
I think
during.
they wanted to say over the, during, no, during the years. No, I
No,
would
again, over
cannot.
the years,
Over
over
the
the
year.
years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And during, when do you use during?
Um, we need to do this during the morning.
Ah,
Uh, we,
okay.
we will be working on this during the
Ah,
afternoon.
okay. Ah, okay.
Uh, or we'll be working on this during the next year.
Ah, okay.
We worked on this during the last year. Yeah,
Okay.
you could look up what the difference is over the
Ah,
years
okay.
and during you. Yeah, I think over is with plural over the centuries, during the century. It's an
Ah, okay.
interesting thing because they're both time
Okay.
references. Yeah.
Okay. And most
Most
of the
what? What did I?
scientists
The
and
distinction between most of the scientists and most scientists. Most scientists is when you're referring to all scientists in the world.
okay.
And when you say most of the scientists, it's most of the scientists I mentioned.
Ah,
When you say most of the students at the Joaquin, but then
yes.
most students in general, right?
Ah, okay.
It's a definite versus indefinite reference.
Ah, okay. 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 I think that's it, right?
That's it. Good. Fabulous.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Yes. I mean, they're just comments to help you
Yes.
improve for the next presentation so that you're and remember this idea of, for this particular type of presentation, right? A reflection on how the chapter is, not just the content, but how the
Ah.
chapter is structured, what techniques are used, um, what language is used. um, Something that Bryson does a lot is he tries to bring the subject alive, right? How does he do
Mm,
this? He includes dialogue, he includes quotes, he includes humor, he includes anecdotes. He makes it appealing. I know that it's physics and it may be
mm,
difficult,
mm,
but it's not like a textbook,
mm.
right? It's different, and it's different because of these techniques that he uses. You see,
Yes.
that's what I want you to focus on
So
this.
in the presentation for the final, I should mention the structure of the text or
Well,
not.
you should make reference to the structure of the text, the language
Mm,
used, and whatever, right?
okay.
Remember that you've got two parts. You've got a topic.
Yes.
The topic is not necessarily about a text,
Ah, okay.
but it could be. It could be. I mean, we'll talk about that some more when we come
Okay.
closer to the day. But the focus is language. So reference should be made
Yes.
to language, and language is not just words and grammar. It's
Yes.
textual structure, techniques, uh, audience, considering the audience. How the author reaches out to the audience, and so on and
Mm,
so forth. On that subject, I wanted to share with you uh, Well, there's two things. This one I think you can watch. Well, we'll see. Well, we'll skip to this one, which is the one that is related to this subject. It's a video that I want you to let me. We're going to watch it together. It's part of a GCSE support material. GCSE. You're familiar with GCSE?
Yes. The exams, right? Or not?
Exams, exactly. They're secondary school exams.
Yes.
The
A
acronym,
levels? No.
no, before A
Oh.
levels. It's
Okay.
the
Okay.
O levels, right?
Okay.
There used to be ordinary levels, O levels, and
Okay.
then A levels. O levels were sat at the age of 15, 16, and then A levels at the age of 18.
Okay.
Typically, students do about 11, 12, maybe 13 O levels or GCSEs now. They're called GCSEs, General Certificate of Secondary Education. And then come A levels, and students usually they spend 2 years studying for A levels, and they do 2 or 3 subjects, or maybe four.
Mm.
And A levels are the ones that they use for applying to university, right?
Yes.
But GCSE is like a kind of foundation that everybody has to do a lot of subjects, because that is what is used to complete secondary education, right?
Yes.
And there's material that is produced for supporting the work that students do towards uh, GCSEs, and this is one such material. It compares two types of texts, since we were talking about texts. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play it, and I'd like you to make notes on what the main ideas are. Okay, just make a few notes. You can watch it later on, at your
Mm.
leisure. But y- some of the things that we mentioned are going to appear there. Okay, let's have a
Okay.
look.
In your exam, you could be asked to compare two texts from two different periods of time. These could be fiction or non-fiction. The skills we'll show you in this film apply to both. I'm Kyle Walker, BBC radio presenter and Manchester born and bred. Here we're going to look at two texts written about the city. Not a Guide to Manchester by Ben McGar, published in 2012, and With the World's Great Travellers, Ed Charles Morris and Oliver H.G. Lee, 1896. Comparing texts from different periods of time involves looking at their similarities and differences, and it also helps to think about the texts together rather than separately. I'm going to start by reading from the modern piece first. Manchester is aiming high. Stylish new skyscrapers are popping up all the time, and natives returning after time away are left quite disorientated. Back in 1962, our CIS tower briefly was UK's tallest building at 387 feet. A very descriptive bit of writing on the Manchester modern skyline. Now, let's compare that to the 19th century text written over 100 years earlier. The sightseer will be charmed by the noble city hall with its tall tower, its peal of 21 bells and the public recitals on its great organ. Manchester possesses the oldest free library in the world, Chetham's, with 40,000 rare old books ranged on the shelves in the old mansion rooms, where some of them have reposed for nearly 300 years. So, two texts, one from the early 21st century and the other from the late 19th century. How do we go about comparing these two bits of writing? The first step is to establish the purpose and form of each. Purpose is what the writer is trying to achieve. They could be, for example, trying to entertain, or to inform, or to persuade. Form is how it looks. That could be many things, including a blog, a letter, or a book. The 21st century text starts with, Manchester is aiming high. It's a simple declarative sentence stating something as fact. Manchester is the focus of this piece. It's the first word. The older text states right at the beginning, the sightseer will be charmed by this noble city, and then quickly declares, Manchester possesses. So the purpose of both is clearly to describe the city of Manchester and to inform and entertain the reader. Now, what form do they take? Well, clearly they're both non-fiction books. Now we know their purpose and form, we can move on. Method can include a number of things. You can focus on a writer's use of tone. So, for example, is it humorous or serious? What's the language like? What word choices do the writers make? And what literary techniques are used? Sentence structure, and so on. We'll start with tone. You can think of this as the attitude of the speakers in each piece. Think about the tone of voice you might expect to hear if the writing were being spoken. Similarities first. Both mostly focus on positive aspects of the city. The modern text states that Manchester is aiming high and stylish new skyscrapers. The older piece has the sightseer will be charmed by the noble city hall. So the tone in both texts is positive and upbeat, bigging up Manchester. The effect of this tone is that it might generate enthusiasm for the city in the reader. The modern text refers to a house being on the market for £4 million and refers to a building with a height of 188 metres. The older piece has its peal of 21 bells and 40,000 rare old books. So, in both texts, figures emphasise and point out that Manchester is desirable and impressive. Now we move on to the language each writer uses. Both refer to tall and important buildings. In the modern text, the phrase the tallest, a superlative, is used throughout the text. Tallest is repeated 4 times. This seems to be important to the writer. It links back to the opening statement that Manchester is aiming high. The earlier text talks about the noble city hall with its tall tower. So both texts are similar in that they emphasise the importance and grandeur of Manchester's buildings. The modern text refers to our CIS tower. The possessive pronoun our suggests a sense of ownership and pride in the city. Again, in the modern text there's a line, desirable and expensive residential properties. Here the writer focuses our attention on these positive aspects of the properties. The older text uses languages for a similar purpose, to praise the city. The line, famous free trade hall as echoed with the eloquence, uses alliteration. That's the repetition of a single letter for added emphasis. In this case, the alliteration of echoed and eloquence is used to praise the city. So, that's some of the similarities. Now let's look at the differences. In the old text, scarcely an American statesman or orator of note, being in England since 1856, but has been cheered by its audiences. This feels like a strange word order or syntax to our ears. Compare this to the modern text, which uses a more familiar word order or syntax, like, architect Ian Simpson has left his mark on both ends of Deansgate. In terms of its focus, the modern text places value on money, flat sold, and is valued at twice the price. The old text places value on age, 40,000 rare old books, talking about the library. The effect on the reader here is to make them aware of the change and difference in values between the two eras. Thinking about the writer's perspective now, do they like Manchester? What is their opinion of the city? The modern text is from the perspective of a Mancunian. McGar uses the words natives and born there, suggesting that the writer himself comes from Manchester. Contrast that with the older text, which is from the perspective of a visitor, referring to the traveller. It also looks at the impression the city will make on tourists using the phrase like the sightseer. So you've seen there are clear similarities between the texts in terms of purpose, tone, and language, and clear differences in terms of perspective values and readership. This has been shown in statements and comparisons backed up with quotes from the text. In an exam, when writing about two texts, you need to make links between points you've identified in each. You might like to make a separate mind map for both texts, and then look for links between them. You could also use a Venn diagram to note similarities and differences between the two texts.
Okay, so that's clearly exam training, if you like, but it
Yes.
does give you, a good way of comparing and thinking about two texts and things to say and analyze, and maybe what you want to do when you choose your topic is to find a couple of texts, one fiction, one non-fiction, one old, one new, one written by X, one written by Y, I don't know, and you know make a kind of comparison, applying the things that were mentioned were things that maybe we haven't mentioned explicitly all of them in this course, but they're things that you've learned in previous subjects and in other areas. And so it's a good idea. You have to remember that this is the last language you do, right? So you can bring to bear everything that you've ever learned in different subjects, because it's a way of integrating what you've learned, right?
Yes.
What did you think? What were the main ideas, or what did you think was?
Well, the purpose, I saw that in discourse analysis. Now we are talking about other subjects. Yes. Well, yes. Purpose, form, the use of
Mhm.
language. And well, I saw it even in my practicum because we had to deliver lessons of tertiary level. So we had to revise, all the things that we saw in discourse analysis,
Right, right.
in order
So
to
everything
help, yes, our
connects,
students.
right?
Yes,
Absolutely, absolutely. Mhm.
yes. Well,
Anything
the
else you
tone,
found
the
relevant?
the
Yeah.
writer's tone,
Uh-huh.
the tone, and literary techniques in
Uh-huh.
literature. You saw that.
Exactly.
Uh, well, he
Alliteration,
meant,
for example.
yeah, yes, I was about to mention that. Yes,
Mhm.
the different, yes, techniques, devices
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. So, applying this to and showing that you've learned all this
Yes,
is what we want you to show in the exam,
yes,
right?
okay,
Cool.
okay.
Any questions, any doubts about this?
No, because I want to mention that when I did the presentation, I thought that I had like to explain all the concepts there, and I was
I
worried
know, which is
about
fine.
it.
But
I
you
didn't know
yeah.
that, yes, that I had to
No, no.
focus. Okay, so I have to
No.
like to focus on the structure and language and
Yeah,
all
I
that.
mean,
Yeah.
in this particular case, the content is an excuse,
Okay.
right? The focus is the fact, because it could be any of the chapters. I don't want you to learn
Yes.
physics by doing
Yes.
this, and you could have known a lot of physics before you
Yeah.
did this, or none, or whatever. It doesn't really matter, right? It's a non-fiction text about this. It's written in this way. It's structured in this way.
Mm.
This was particularly helpful. That was particularly clear. This wasn't so successful. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's your
Okay.
experience of it as a reader more than
Okay.
anything that I am interested in. Okay.
Okay.
I noticed, just to round off for today, I noticed that you put a number of components in
Ah,
the
yes.
classroom, which I
Yes.
haven't looked at yet, but I will do. But still, there's some missing, right? So
Yes.
um, next week, I'm going to give you time to finish those up, and I've
Okay.
prepared some material for you to go over next week because I won't be here. So um, following on from this video that we just saw, there's these videos that are from the same series. Okay, so they give you more
Mm.
hints as to how to analyze text for GCSE. There's also this uh, grammar, get the grammar 5, which is about writing, and there's a quiz in the classroom. Um, so you've
Okay.
got time to catch up on your components, and then
Yes.
I've put some more material that you may want to read. This is already on how to write an essay and using sources, because it's all kind
Mm.
of connected, right? Reading, writing, connecting sources and
Mm.
whatnot. And then this one is a bit more out there. These two are on artificial intelligence writing
Yes.
and
So
machines writing. So you've got some
I had
articles.
I had to deliver a lesson in multimedia about
Ah,
artificial intelligence.
oh, okay. So you know about it.
It was, yes, I I messed up. Let's say it was
Why?
awful. I don't know
Why?
because I understood something and it was wrong.
What did you understand and
Now
what
I'm laughing, but back then I didn't. No, I
what
don't
was
know
the
because
problem?
I I had to talk about artificial intelligence and where I looked for different sources. I don't know if I understood everything wrongly or what, but the teacher didn't like it. And well, I don't know. And she ended up explaining it after my
So
lesson.
what didn't you understand and what did she want
I
you to?
don't. I remember that I used Britannica
Okay.
Encyclopedia.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I think it is a good source,
The thing is that
isn't
it's
it?
not the
Mm.
Encyclopedia Britannica. I don't think it is the Encyclopedia Britannica. I think it's called Britannica. Anyway, she
I
didn't
don't know
like
the web
it. Is that?
page. Well,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. She
And
didn't
I
like
tried
it,
to
did she?
explain it with my own words as I did today. I don't
Uh-huh.
know. I understood everything wrongly because then I tried to explain that you have, for instance, I don't know this. I don't know how to say it in even in Spanish. When you're trying to talk to someone online, and it is a boot. No, how do you say it?
A
No,
bot. A
a bot.
bot?
Well, yes.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
tried to give that example, and it was, but I did it. It was like 3 years ago. Yes, like for
Ah,
instance,
okay.
when you have a bank
Yeah, yeah. I
that
was
yeah.
communicating with the city's bot.
Ah,
It's called
yes,
Botty today,
yes,
because I enrolled my son for his vaccination, and I got the confirmation on Botty.
yes.
Um, and
Well,
why was
I
that
tried
wrong?
to explain how it worked, and I think it was wrong because she corrected
Who
it.
did you do the subject with?
Nora Lisenberg.
Not Lisenberg. I've already asked you that. Yes. Okay.
Yes, and but the good thing was that I found online a video. I maybe I have it in my computer about I think it was in Holland that they use at primary school, primary or kindergarten, robots, no robots to
Kindergarten,
teach.
be careful
Ah,
because
okay.
it's only 1 year.
Ah, okay. So no, is
Kindergarten is
it?
when the kids are 5.
Ah,
The
okay.
whole level is called preschool.
Ah, okay.
So what
Priest.
we call jardín de infantes is, I
Ah,
know in
yes.
schools they call it kindergarten here,
Ah,
but
yes.
in English speaking countries, kindergarten is only 1 year before
Ah,
primary or elementary school. It's when the kids
like
are 5.
preescolar here. Oh, I mean, when I
Claro,
was
al
a kid,
revés, pero it's their
yes.
false friends, exactly. El
Ah, look at that.
preescolar,
Yes, it was year five.
nosotros tenemos el jardín de infantes, el jardín
Fantes,
maternal, el jardín de
ni
infantes y
fan.
preescolar es el último año
Yes, when you
de
have
jardín de
year
infantes.
five.
In
Yes.
English, it's preschool and kindergarten is for 5-year-olds.
Ah, okay.
So,
Well, what, I mean, I
yeah.
remember that they were kids, but I don't remember I
Mhm.
mean, in which level they were. And they used like robots to teach these
Uh-huh.
kids. So I
Uh-huh.
she liked the video.
Oh,
Yes.
good. That's something.
And yes. And the video showed how these robots worked at school, so it was very interesting. I don't remember
Oh, okay.
if they used it to teach English because it was, yes, I think it they were, the teacher used the robots to teach English, to practice English with the kids.
Okay. Okay.
So, well, in
Well,
that
maybe
case,
you
it was.
can do you think you could dig out the presentation and we could improve on it?
I have to look for it. The
Well,
video,
why not?
maybe I have it. Well, I will
Why
find
not?
it and know where it
Yeah. Go on.
is.
We
Yes,
can
I
work
don't
on it
know.
and improve it. And don't I don't want you to go away with a traumatic experience out of something that could be,
I don't know where
interesting.
it is.
Well, if
I
you can
can
find
find
it,
the
if you found it,
video,
it's
but
okay.
the presentation, I
But don't
don't know.
worry, don't worry. If I'm interested in the video, and if you can find the
Ah,
presentation,
okay,
we can do it. If
okay.
if not, it's okay. It's just an idea. Just an idea.
Because
Um,
it was like 3 years ago, but
right,
I
right, right.
suffered a lot.
I know. I realize. Well, on the subject of suffering, let me show you this, which may be a bit cathartic. Hopefully,
I have
let's
to
have
ask
a
you something before.
go ahead.
So, because you told me that I had time up to September to submit my portfolio, but
Well,
I'm
you
still.
you still have time. You still
Ah,
have
okay,
time.
that's why, because
That's
I
why
have
I'm
to.
giving you. That's why I'm giving you next week to
Okay,
catch up, right? Because
okay,
I realize that you're a bit behind, but
okay. Yes.
and there's only one of you, so it's okay. I
Mm,
mean,
okay,
yeah, we've got time. Don't worry.
okay.
Don't worry about it. Any other questions like that keep you
No,
up at
because
night?
I don't know. I'm having problems with written comprehension and listening comprehension because I don't have ideas. I don't know why. I don't know if it is the book or what. But with the
Um,
previous book, I had like a lot of ideas.
okay,
But we have
okay.
more characters, so we can choose. But I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm like blocked. I don't
Well,
know.
what you can do is go back to the presentation where we talked about those components
Yes.
and look in the resource books, or simply, Google reading
Mm,
comprehension
mm,
activities ideas or
yes.
listening, and then you'll get ideas on things that you can do from sites like the British Council usually has
Yes.
sites,
Yes.
or you can look through old textbooks that
Yes.
may have examples, and then you may come up with
Yes, I don't
ideas.
know how to connect the. Maybe I have, for instance, an idea, but I don't know how to connect it with the book, with the novel. I don't
Well, I
know
mean,
why.
for example, one type of reading comprehension activity could be uh, turning a dialogue
Mm.
into a text where the dialogue is reported, or
Okay.
or um, or the other way around.
Yes.
Or it could be reorganizing parts of the text,
Yes.
or it could be providing kind of headlines, or
Mm.
turning the text into another kind of text. So maybe into a news story,
Mm.
or I don't know, I'm just throwing ideas out there, right?
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
I don't know.
you could
I.
do intensive vocabulary work with an
Yeah.
extract,
Yes.
or you could do some kind of jigsaw listening or jigsaw reading where one group has part of the text and another group has another part of the text.
Yes. I,
Or you could do matching parts of the
mm.
text with different images, and
Yes.
organizing the images in different orders.
Yes.
I don't know. There's loads
Yes.
of options.
Yes, but I don't know. I don't know how to. Maybe it is the book. I don't know because I had
Well,
ideas with the previous one and with text, for instance. But
right.
in this
Well, you could
case,
you could brainstorm ideas and then
mm,
see if there's anything you can
mm,
match with the text,
yes.
maybe.
And I have
And if
another
you
question.
go ahead, go ahead.
because I will forget. And are we going to deal with CVs and cover letters?
Yeah,
Ah,
that's what we're going to deal with after this.
okay. Ah, okay.
It's the final bit of the course really,
Ah,
because
okay.
it's a specific kind of text. It's job preparation in a way.
Yes.
Um, it's not. I think I'm the only one who does it as part
Yes,
of
that's
language.
why.
I don't
Yes, no
actually
one.
evaluate it, but I think it's kind of useful for you to
Yes.
think about it.
Yes, I found a web page,
Mm.
prospects, I think
There's
it is.
loads,
And yes,
loads, and
uh,
loads.
but maybe, I don't know, because as you said, no one deals with it. And I think it's
No, I've even
useful.
heard, well, I've even heard in faculty meetings people saying that there's no point in having in talking about how to write a CV, because what do you need to write a CV for? Somebody who retired said this in a meeting, and because in the state system you don't have to submit a CV. And it's like, yeah, but if you apply for a scholarship, you do. And if you apply for, God
And maybe,
forbid, if you apply for a private school, you have to
yeah.
submit a CV. And, this was a
Uh, uh,
person who didn't think this was okay, but then she ended up working in a private school. But I don't know, the
but you
hypocrisy
can
of
have
people.
a student who needs it as well. Uh,
I know, but
you have to help that person. So.
absolutely. Well, yes, but that would mean you have a private student as opposed to a student in a school, right?
Well,
I don't know. I don't know. The logic escapes me. Ridiculous. But anyway, in relation to
right.
stress and not getting stressed, let's have a look at this. It's a short little video.
Okay, just get up on that podium. All right, I'm here. That was easy. Now I just need to. Oh my gosh! How many people are in the audience? 100? 1,000? Don't count. Okay, I can do this. I'm gonna focus on my notes. What did I have written down again? Hello. My. Okay, if this sounds like your worst nightmare, you're not alone. Actually, you're one of the estimated 70% of the population that has an intense fear of public speaking. And that's okay, because on today's Wellcast, we've got our triple P method that will get you through and get you calm during that next oral report and keep your breakfast where it belongs. You ready? Many polls list public speaking as the most commonly reported phobia among Americans. It's called glossophobia, meaning literally, fear of the tongue. A study by Texas Christian University tested 48 women and 48 men enrolled in a public speaking class and found that those who exhibited high trait anxiety had the most physical symptoms of distress when speaking publicly. So, what if you're the kind of person whom any bit of social acrobatics is tantamount to entering a lion's den? Hey, calm down. Okay, I'm just kidding, but seriously, calm down, all right? We've got our triple P method that'll get you through that next public speaking gig. Pause and print this Wellcast worksheet. Step 1, prepare, prepare, prepare. We said it 3 times because it's that important.
There are 2 things that go into being prepared. Number 1, knowing your subject backwards and forwards. 2, knowing exactly how you're going to present it step by step. In your Wellcast worksheet, write down the major points that you want to get across to the audience. Get the ideas out of your head and onto the paper.
In the next column to the right, start ordering these points in a logical manner. Arguing your point to the audience and winning them over is like a boxing match. First, start with some fancy footwork, a fact or an anecdote that will hook the audience in and get them to pay attention to you. Then, throw a couple of swings, supporting evidence for your argument, stats, personal stories, something that will start to convince the audience that you're taking control. And finally, the knockout, a landing blow of statements that's memorable, convincing, and sums up your speech's position. All right, step 2, posture and physicality are key. Part of keeping your anxiety at bay while giving your speech is knowing what to do with your body.
Before your speech, avoid large meals or dairy products, which will make you feel like you need to clear your throat incessantly. Bring a bottle of water on stage if you're allowed. Don't be afraid to take sips throughout your speech. It'll keep your voice natural, and it gives you a moment to pause and regain your composure if needed. Stand naturally, not too stiff or slumped. Good posture will help you breathe and speak easier, and it'll let your audience know that you're calm and in control.
Step 3, panda to your audience. The best public speakers know how to work the room. Don't be completely serious unless the occasion calls for it. Don't read entirely off the cards. Keep a natural cadence and pace. Throw a joke or a side in. It'll draw in a laugh. If there's a silence, then turn that into a joke. Stay natural, self-effacing, and the audience will be on your side. Let's recap. You'd rather face a poisonous reptile than public speak, huh? Well, follow the Wellcast Triple P checklist. Prepare extensively for your speech. Know your content backwards and forwards, and figure out the absolute best way to present it and to win over your audience. Watch your posture and physicality. This includes everything from standing naturally to breathing from your diaphragm.
And pander to your audience. Keep them in the palm of your hand and with an easy demeanor, natural cadence, and of course, jokes.
Tweet us at WatchWellcast. Email us at watchwellcast@.
Oh, a bit over the top, right? A bit excessive. But it does make some useful points, right?
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yes.
With a bit of humor, right?
Yes, I think that in the case of making jokes, you have to have like that personality because some
You have to
people
be
are very
careful. Yeah, you have to be
yes
careful.
as well. But some people are like too serious and they don't. I don't know how to to make a joke or to laugh at something.
Right.
So
But humor doesn't necessarily have to be making a joke. You know, humor is broader than making jokes or telling jokes, right? Which is difficult usually. But, you know, having an element of humor, considering humor as a possibility is usually a good idea. But yes, you're right. You have to work it into and match it to your personality and not just, you know. Yeah, you're definitely right. Okay, cool. Any other questions? Any other doubts? You've got things to be working on.
yes.
And then you've got a long weekend.
Yes. Yes.
So
I'm lost.
it's after, not this weekend. The next one is
Yeah.
I think Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
I thought it was
My
like up
students
to.
told me that.
I didn't know.
I knew that Monday was a holiday. I don't
Yes.
know why Friday is a holiday. Why is Friday a holiday?
I didn't know. I didn't know. I knew about. I mean Monday,
They
but
have a class with me on Friday, so I don't know why they said a long weekend.
I didn't want to go.
No, but they didn't have a class with me on Friday.
I didn't know. Maybe it was like changed lately.
There's no elections, right? So.
No. In November we have elections again.
Feriado de octubre. ¿Cuándo es el próximo fin de semana?
Yes,
Sí,
in
porque
October.
es el próximo fin de semana. A ver qué dice.
No, but maybe they didn't want to have like lessons on Friday, but not with
Maybe
you,
that's-
someone else.
But why would they tell me? Just to confuse me. I don't know.
No, they were happy. I
12 de
didn't know.
octubre es el 11 de octubre. A ver qué dice esto. Espera. El decreto de feriados 2021 estableció que el 8 de octubre será feriado con fines turísticos. Sí, señora.
I didn't know.
Lo acabo de ver acá. I mean,
But this is
not an
new,
official.
like quite new. Quite new.
I don't know. And it's a
I
day
don't know
set
either.
for. Espera, porque ahora me agarra un ataque que no lo sabemos. Feriados nacionales 2021 Argentina. Well, it does affect other things I do. But feriados nacionales. A ver, pero. Sí, señora, 8 de octubre, feriados nacionales con fines turísticos.
Pero es nuevo eso. O sea,
Sí, pero ¿de cuándo?
De hace 2 días, no sé.
Sí, pero no.
No lo escuché. Y lo leí en ningún lado tampoco.
Bueno, look.
Yeah. They are like very interested in those things because they knew it. Like holidays.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know it.
Look. La miércoles. Okay. No, okay. Things are happening as I write things. I enrolled my son for the vaccination, and they've already sent me a
Ah,
message saying that he
and
can get vaccinated. It's so weird. I just sent you the thingy saying that
yes,
yeah, the
yes,
8th.
I got a message. I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yes,
So Friday
here
is a
it is.
holiday.
Yes,
Okay, they were right, and
and
I was
we have elections at Joaquin.
well
You
on
know about
Friday.
it? No, in October.
Really? When?
Yes. Do you have to vote? Yes, as
Probably,
well.
but they can't do anything to me if I don't vote. So
Yes, that's why. In my case, yes, I can't sit
I don't
for
even know
the
who the
final.
candidates are. For what? For consejo directivo? For
Yes,
rectorado? For what?
yes, Consejo Directivo. They change like the members in the Consejo Directivo.
I used to
In
be very interested in those things. Not
No, in
anymore.
my case, I cannot sit for the finals in December,
No,
so
I
I
know,
have
I know.
to.
For schools, it's an issue. Yeah, I know, I know, I know, I know.
But I didn't know
Well,
that.
anyway,
In your case, it
do you
was
have the
like fine.
dates? Do you know when it is?
Yes, I can send it to you.
Oh,
It
that
was
would be
like
good.
by the end of October.
Mm,
I don't exactly remember.
okay, so before the national elections, but
Yes, I will send it to you.
yeah, please do, because I don't think I
Yes.
received anything about it, or if I did, I overlooked it. Anyway, okay, well, get lots of work done. I'll send you
Yes.
feedback on the things that you sent me,
Okay.
and upload the presentation. I
Okay.
put a classroom item called presentation, so you can upload the presentation there, and I'll put the feedback so that we have it in the classroom,
Okay.
right?
So, what about next week? We are not meeting? Or what
No,
did you say?
um,
Okay.
so that but use the time to try and finish the
Yes.
component,
Okay.
and then we'll meet the following after the long weekend,
Okay. Okay.
right?
Okay. Great.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Okay. See
Okay. Well,
you
see you.
the following
Bye.
week.
Okay. Okay. Have a nice week.
And
Bye.
you.